Alright everyone, I'm going to give you a presentation on filial therapy. Well, what filial therapy is basically is child play therapy. It's a form of therapy that the parent uses with the child to build attachment between the child and the parent. As we go through this presentation, I will explain more about that. This is in Africa. This is an example of filial therapy in Ethiopia.
This was teaching health workers who were not particularly literate, working in the bush in Ethiopia to coach African parents, illiterate parents, in the skills required to help their child with malnutrition. Results were that the children gained body weight and mass in half the time with this psychosocial support.
So the key of that little video clip was that filial therapy has been used across the world. One evidence of filial therapy working was in Ethiopia. They taught illiterate parents to work with their children and decrease the rate of malnutrition in Ethiopia with that survey group. Now, to really understand filial therapy, you have to kind of understand a little bit about attachment theory. Now, attachment theory is basically broken into three parts, which we'll go over. It was founded in 1969 timeframe by a psychiatrist named Bowlby. The key is the child seeking closeness with the parent. In 1978 is when they came up with the way to test attachment theory, which is called the strange theory. It puts a parent and a child alone in a room. The parent leaves. The child acts however the child's going to act. The parent returns. The child acts how they act. Depending on how the child acts upon the parent leaving and the parent returning, and subsequently, it's to determine what type of attachment that child has. Like I said, there are three attachment styles. Secure, which is where the child is trusting towards the parent and comfortable with intimacy with the parent. There's insecure or anxious, where they're uncomfortable with autonomy or closeness, and there's insecure avoidant, where they're uncomfortable with intimacy. So I had a little video, but I'm not going to show it. For secure, what you want to see is when you're with, like if you're with your child and you left the room, they should get upset because their caregiver or their parent has left the room. Usually they do this with the mother, because mothers generally have more of attachment with their children. So the child starts crying. The parent returns to the room. The child is soothed by the parent returning to the room. The child returns to play as normal. Now, in an anxious child or an insecure child, the parent leaves the room, the child is upset, the parent returns to the room, the child is not immediately comforted. When the parent tries to soothe or comfort the child is going to do things like slap their parent away. This is associated with the parent not always being there for the child. So when the parent does return, they're unsure of the certainty of the parent remaining, and they're not trusting of the parent. With the third style, it's the avoidance style. The parent leaves the room. Most often the child doesn't even know that the parent is gone. And the parent returns to the room. They really don't care less. They don't react in any over-emotional manner that you would expect from a secure or an anxious child. It's kind of the same coping process. The parent isn't around. They don't trust the parent. They start developing, even in infancy, they start developing coping mechanisms that aren't reliant on the parent that you would expect in a secure attachment. Secure attachment is what you want with your child. It's where they can rely on you and you have a close relationship with them. This has positive outcomes, and later on in life, it's said, there's constant studies going on, but Secure children have more success in life, more likely to obtain higher paying jobs, more likely to succeed in school, things of that nature. So here's a small clip on filial therapy. There's going to be subtitles, so I'm going to try to read them to you because this was a Dutch film kind of introducing filial therapy. And it's also spliced together, so normally it's like a 7-minute video down to about a 1.5-minute video. Okay, so children cannot be able to express themselves as easily as adults do, which is pretty evident. Because play is a very natural way for children to express themselves, they came up with child play therapy. It gives appropriate responses and a sense of understanding to the child. It also helps the child to feel in control. Play therapy is an effective method to help children with problems, such as introversion, aggression, perfectionism, and academic problems. Toilet problems, thumb sucking, nail biting, chronic illness, and divorce. So that's child play therapy. That's with a therapist and a child. Filial therapy is the same model with the parent and the child. At first, the parent interacts with the therapist, and the therapist teaches them the foundation of child play therapy. That way, they can better understand their child's inner self and how they're expressing themselves. In this model, the parent teaches, or the expert teaches the parent how to play. Then they bring in the child with the therapist, child, and parent, and then they bring in, and then it moves on to eventually just the parent and the child without the therapist present. The desire for child to play isn't just for play. A lot of times that's how they work out their problems in life. Play, like when you're kids, is probably one of your favorite things to do. And that's kind of the theory it goes to, is with building attachments as play is one of the favorite things to do, and it's a way that children express themselves. Kind of the key in filial therapy isn't just that you play with your child, it's that you take about 30 minutes with your child in a controlled environment. You give them a ground line or a perimeter of rules, like don't break any windows, for example. If you break any windows, playtime's over. And then you surrender control to your child and let them take control of the play. So and it takes a long time for parents to understand how to do that, because even as a parent, you kind of want to guide your child towards something, because children tend to process things a little slower, so it doesn't seem like they're moving towards an end state. And especially in the military, we want to see an end state, like where's this play going? You have to surrender that and just let your kid do what they're going to do. And through that, it builds trust in them, it gives them a sense of control for themselves, and then builds a stronger attachment. And that ends my presentation. Thank you guys for being here.